I'm Catherine Ross, and I'm here live from the floor of the NYSE with Jim Cramer. Jim, what's on the top of your mind this morning?
There's this new notion that if trade talks are going well, buy banks. And if interest rates go up, buy banks. And banks are the leaders in this market. JP Morgan is the leader. Citi is a leader. And a lot of this is a belief that these banks would also be able to go into China and start really doing a great job. Now, one of the things that people have to recognize is the mainstream media is saying that there's going to be trade talks because the Chinese are saying it. Just discount that entirely. What the Chinese did was sentence a fentanyl dealer to death. And that's the signal that the White House has been looking for to be able to start getting serious about talks. The mainstream media is totally focused on the idea that the Chinese statements about talks are going well or whatever. Remember, the other day they said they're going badly. Do not trust the Chinese. Trust what they do, not what they say. The idea of sentencing someone to death, staying it for 2 years, sentencing someone to death, and giving two others life imprisonment for fentanyl smuggling in the United States is the signal that the Navarro wing is wanted. And this is very, very important. China says that the U.S. has agreed to roll back tariffs. Don't believe that at all. There's been no agreement whatsoever. There will be no agreement until there's a way to be able to verify that the Chinese mean to play ball. So do not believe mainstream media when they talk about where we are with talks. The most important thing was fentanyl.
But we saw markets hit all-time highs. So, Jim, I got to ask you, what's it going to take for American investors, mainstream media, to believe the American side of the trade talks, not the Chinese side?
Trump to be left-wing, Trump to go against guns, Trump to be more welcome to immigrants, Trump to be less uncouth. These are all about Trump. The people who are against this they hate Trump. I'm not a political guy. Hate him or like him, that's what I care about. And but it's all about hatred of Trump. And I look at it and say, okay, I don't care. What I care about is helping people make money. And that means I like JP Morgan into whatever's going on. Not because of what Jamie Dimon says to Trump, and not because of what mainstream media says, but because it literally is something that the Chinese would have to agree that JP Morgan could be doing business in China without a partner. By the way, if you want the cheapest one that would do well, it's American Express. I would buy that. I'd buy calls on American Express. January probably, 120, 115s.
There you go. There's some investing advice. And Jim wrote all about the U.S. China Trade War in his Real Money column this morning. You really should check it out.
It's like, I never thought that people my age would take over the government. I never thought that peers of mine would take over the government. Let's just say that when you have peers who take over the government, you tend to have more of a fluid discussion than if you have people who are not your peers, regardless of your affiliation. It's really important.
Speaking of real money, we've got our real money stock of the day, Qualcomm, which reported earnings last night that you were so impressed with.
Because we own Lam Research, which is terrific when it comes to 5G. We own the best 5G, which is Marvell. You always feel like a chump because Qualcomm bought so much stock in the 60s and they're really doing great. But you can only own, how many 5G plays can you really own? By the way, I don't regard NVIDIA as a 5G play. There are a lot of things, but I don't regard it as that. But if you believe in 5G, the Qualcomm train is leaving the station. The Marvell train is still in the station, and I'd rather buy the one where I don't have to run to catch up.
Is Qualcomm's future lying within 5G?
Yeah. Qualcomm is. They were ready. Got caught up in that whole Apple litigation. They mentioned Apple as a customer. They have more than 100 customers. They are ready. They are the 5G play other than Marvell. Marvell, if you go to their conference call, was done during a period of negativity for tech. If Marvell were to issue that same statement today, it would be at 30. It would be gap open. So I want people to own Marvell. It's a big position of action alerts.
Jim, we're getting earnings from Disney tonight after the bell. I'm wondering, what are you looking for?
Any sign that, preliminary sign of the Disney joint venture with Verizon that indicates that Disney Plus is very powerful. I think people have to lower their expectations because Bob Iger has said over and over again, it's not a 2020 story. It may not even be a 2021 story. So if he comes back and says it is a 2021 story, then you know that you got a reason to buy. There's so many stocks that are up. It's really incredible. You know, a lot of people have to understand. There's two markets. There's the market of the people who hate Trump and the market of the people who love Trump. There's the market of the people who predict catastrophe all the time and are negative and pessimistic. And there's the market of the people who are optimistic. The market of the people who are pessimistic and are predicting Armageddon, the Armageddonists, is far bigger than when it comes to the media, than the other side. And I think that one of the big confusions that people have, they don't recognize that the other side's got the money. They got the money. So the Armageddonists have kept you out of the market. We are not Armageddonists at Action Alerts.
And we'll be heading over to our Action Alerts Daily Rundown show in just a moment. But before we do, Jim, I want to talk to you about Bull Market Fantasy, which we have live around 10:45 a.m. over on bullmarketfantasy.com.
Lock of the week. Jimmy from Anywhere's got Lock of the Week, he nailed it last week. Also, there's a lot of people who don't know what to do in the bye week, and there's injuries, and we've got solutions. Of course, we have fun, too. Wall Street has a tremendous number of people who really play fantasy, and we're going to we'll list our buys and sells. There'll be a lightning round, not unlike Mad Money with Bill Enright. And I think that you have to understand that the discipline of picking stocks and discipline of picking players is the same. So a lot of people are saying, Jim, are you just going to go off and be a sports guy? I've always been a sports guy. Now I have a show.
All right, so tune in for Bull Market Fantasy. But before you do that, head on over to ActionAlertsPlus.com because we're heading right now to do our daily rundown show of the stocks that they're watching over at Action Alerts Plus. I'm Catherine Ross, and we'll see you tomorrow.